Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really used to saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but this is a live session. So you can see there on the screen, numbers tell the story. Thank you. What we're assuming is that there is a link between data and policy. Data itself can be both numbers and it can be stories. Data is evidence. In order to get that evidence to the policymaker, there needs to be a kind of transference, there needs to be a communication. The data on itself is just not enough. And this is where very often the relationship between scientists and policymakers is quite complicated. Scientists don't spend so much time thinking about communicating to policymakers what they do, and policymakers don't think so much about trying to understand what scientists are doing. So at OSD we've been trying various ways to revitalize the data, if you like, so that we can find ourselves in a situation where we can easily use numbers and we can use stories to convince people of the impact that our projects, our programs, our investment in women scientists makes, so that they will then go further and create new programs with us. We believe that these programs are really what can actually change what's happening on the ground. And that's what I want to talk you through very briefly today. So we're very used to seeing these kinds of slides, right? Numbers, pictures, dramatic evidence. Only 2% of venture funding goes to female funders. Just 30% of female students study STEM topics. But what do we do with that information? We know it, we can see it, we believe it. Does it change anything? People refer to these numbers all the time. How many sessions on women gender have you gone to where you see 1 in 3 women are doing science? All of this data that proves that women are not succeeding in science. So we've done a kind of survey of our members, and we've produced new ways of displaying what they're actually doing. I just want to give you a little animation of what's now on our website. Our website itself is a redesign, all about using data to demonstrate impact. As you can see here, this picture here shows you where our 58 national chapters are in the world. So you can see that there are the chapters in South America, in Africa, in the Arab region, in Asia. We've got 11,000 members, okay. And then if you were to go onto our website and you wanted to investigate more deeply any of these areas, you can see the different kinds of memberships we have. You can go in and see the programs. You can see for example, in Latin America, in Africa, there are 21 national chapters. In the Arab countries, there are 7 national chapters. There are 11 national chapters in Asia and the Pacific. You go a deep dive into Africa. In the Congo, we have 23 members. In Angola, 13. You carry on, you can explore, find out anything you like. Here you can see that we're zooming now into the Latin America region. We can see Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia, where we have members and chapters. And then finally, we are going to go to Colombia, where we have 218 members in our wonderful OSD Colombia National Chapter. And you can even do a deeper investigation. What is this chapter? Where are they based? How many members do they have? How many institutes do they work with? And you can see a little story of when the chapter was established and what kind of activities the chapters are doing for women in science, the networking opportunities they provide. The national chapters themselves are these amazing groups of women. They need to be OSD members. OSD members themselves are women with at least postgraduate degrees in science, living and working in developing countries. When they're more than 20, they can establish a national chapter. One of the very first things that the national chapters will do is do a kind of survey of what's going on with the women in that room. They'll say, you know, what's your experience? Are there any specific challenges that you have? And then they will try and find their own solutions to those different challenges. We noticed this at OSD, and we have now set up a more rigorous data collection project with the national chapters, where, and you can find out more about this wonderful project, which we just had a session on earlier. But it's developed a new tool where we're getting much, much more reliable and very tailor-made information about very specific countries. And then that project in itself is expanding to become a project that's now looking at how we can move from national chapters to national committees. So using all of the women who are in these national chapters and finding ways for them to be in contact with all of the game changers in their country around higher education, giving them a direct link. And also, most importantly, for the policymakers, giving them a direct link to these women in these chapters who have the experience, they have the evidence, and very often they have the success that can inform the policymakers what they need to do in order to attract and retain women in STEM. And these notions, these practices, have not been decided on high by OSD headquarters. They are established by each separate national chapter concerning the context in which they are and the needs which they have, and indeed the resources that they have, because OSD does not have the resources to supply each of these 58 national chapters with the funds that they need to do their activities. Here you can see another, oops, no, we thought this was going to happen, didn't we? Yes, thanks, Eloy. So this is again from our website. We have clustered all of our members, as I said. Did you see the number, the impressive number, 11,000 members, to cluster them around sort of SDG clusters. We've developed our own more easily accessible clusters that are more relevant to the research that's being undertaken. You can see here, for example, if you click on one of these, and here we clicked on, I think we clicked on renewable energy, and you can slide down and you can get all the information about the members that are doing renewable energy, where they're based, any news on that topic. If you want to find a woman to give a talk at a conference in your country, you can go on a website and you can find her. And I just want to take a brief pause to just say, okay, these numbers are all up there, and you understand that we've managed to communicate the numbers. But we also have the real lived experience here in this room. So I'm going to ask, is there anybody who is an OSD member in this room? Could you please stand up, OSD members? That's an impressive number of women attending this conference, isn't it? Do you know where they've all come from? They have come from more than 50 countries to be here, to engage with you, policymakers, because I'm assuming the people sitting down are all policymakers. Women, just look who's here and go and talk to them afterwards, okay? And thank you very much. Please sit down. And I would just like to ask a volunteer I have selected to just explain what it means to be a number at OSD. So if you look on the website, Linda Dorise-Nyamen will appear as a number on the OSD website as a PhD fellow, an early career fellow from Cameroon. You don't really get it, though, do you? And so we thought we'd ask Linda just to tell you what it means. What's been the impact of the OSD programs on your career and on your community? I think you should come into the light.
Thanks very much, Tonya. Hello, everyone. Personally, I have a very deep story with Oz. And I can say that Oz put a smile on my face and gave me scientific wings to fly. And I will briefly explain why. Thanks to us, through the Oz PhD fellowship program, I was able to travel for the first time out of my country to carry out my PhD studies in the well-equipped lab. And when I graduated, I was recruited and I was able to develop a new field in my department, nanotechnology, through what I did for my PhD. Then through the Oz Early Career Fellowship Grant, I was able to establish a lab in my department where we got some basic equipments that are currently running very fine. And we are now able to empower the research at the institutional community, where we have some other researchers who are carrying out the characterization, and even at the national community, because other universities are currently using our lab for characterization. Moreover, thanks to this, through my scientific excellence, I've been promoted to the rank of associate professor. So this is to show what Oz have brought to my life. And I'm very proud standing here, you know, doing what I'm doing, thanks to Oz, because they have opened up the doors for me as a woman scientist. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And of course, if you were to ask any of the women sitting here, you're going to find such fabulous stories. But you can find them, first of all, online, and then you can follow up with them. So the data, the numbers, the stories, they're all working together. The funds for the programs are changing lives, but not just the lives of individuals. They have a massive impact on the areas. Linda, for example, has established a research center in nanotechnology where we believe researchers like yourselves and from all over the world will want to come to her center to study and to interact and collaborate. So I think I will leave it with that because I know we don't have very much time, but I just wanted to emphasize that this notion we have about policy, we feel like we need to describe white papers or discussion papers. I think we need to really focus on policy as a means to change. And if things are not changing, then it's not working as a policy, right? So the policy itself is not the evidence that we need. What we really need to see is this kind of impact. And we need to invite these women into every conversation whenever we can. Thank you.